merry and forlorn. We laugh, we cry, we sing in harmony. Oh, rats, 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 rats.
It's so beautiful and so true. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Hi, we have some new friends in the chat. Genuinely, I want to thank anybody who found me through my Cody Co video. I was so nervous to post that, and people's responses were so much more sincere and kind than I expected. That was really encouraging. Also, I don't think that I knew the definition of a bad faith argument, like, actually, until I posted that video. Oh, and I ended up cooking up a reward for myself. Ta-da! Oh, hey, there's you. I really am so floored. I posted that video at like 400 subscribers, and I said the thing about donating the proceeds to Rain kind of as like a pipe dream, but you guys were so supportive. We're pretty close. We are at 1,000K-ish subscribers. Also, probably should using my lav mic the way it's supposed to be intended. That's crazy. Fun fact, this is made out of tissue paper and a frame and an old makeup mirror. She's a prop maker. She did some production design in her day. How does that look? Honestly, I kind of buy it. Look, when I first moved to LA, prop making paid my bills, so I know how to make something look good if it only has to look good on camera. I'm actually interested to see, kind of like as a social experiment, if that's gonna bump my views or not. Like ethos shorthand of like, I have a bunch of subscribers you should subscribe to. It'll be our little secret, you guys and me, and we're in it together. But the dummies who haven't seen anything before, we're gonna see if this thing makes a difference. Let's do it. And also, just one last thing, if you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. I have a couple of videos on the horizon, one about the live-action Lion King, and then another about the time that I got dumped and then went to every Buc-ee's in America. So, if either of those concepts interest you, stick around. Feel free to give a little follow and a like. Thank you. But for now, let's get into the wild social phenomenon that was the Ratatouille musical. So I had heard of Ratatouille the musical as it was coming out, but I never actually sat down and watched it. But I figured this week it would be perfect because, call me crazy, for some reason this week I want to focus on a time when the internet came together to make something light and frivolous instead of being knee-deep in polarizing discourse. You know, weird. It's been a long week. But for today, Ratatouille the musical, shall we? So, for those of you who are not on musical theater TikTok and may not have heard of it before, Ratatouille the musical is a crowdsourced musical that came out of the pandemic and caught the attention of Broadway and was put on like a live performance via Zoom that raised almost $2 million for the Actors Fund. It started as one person posting just a goofy nonsense video, and then it skyrocketed. It was a very simple idea that really captured people's imagination, and everyone came together to make it a real thing. It got a lot of media attention. There had been massive collaborative musical TikToks before, but this one was the first one that sort of caught the attention of Broadway and actual celebrities. They ended up having Titus Burgess play Remy, Wayne Brady signed on board, and Adam Lambert. And it's this interesting thing because it was this combination of the creativity of the internet and the democratization of that creative process and the actual talents of Broadway. And there were ways that the skill sets of either were put to good use, but there were ways that it was not. But everybody involved was having a good time, I think. So anyway, what I want to do is get into why I think this idea took off, some general weaknesses, and then things that it could have done better. Because I think there was a world where Ratatouille the musical was incredible and it popped off, and even if not a ton of people watched it the first time around, it went crazy viral afterward. That did not happen. And I think it's because execution-wise, it was lacking. Overall, I think it boils down to the internet can do Broadway, but Broadway cannot do the internet. Does that make sense? I'll get into it. For some context, Ratatouille is a Disney Pixar film that stars Remy, an ambitious rat who dreams of becoming a chef. TikTok, as everyone knows, is a wildly popular app that is a dating app for clocks and watches. Oh my gosh, and don't even get me started on the sundial discourse. So the Ratatouille musical is something that can really only emerge out of the cultural climate that was the COVID-19 pandemic. There is, of course, a huge cross-section of people who are Disney fans and musical theater nerds, and a large portion of those people are creatively inclined themselves. And in 2020, there was another factor: the percentage of those people who were stuck at home. I'm being so transported back to 2020 when everyone was just behind their computers and alone, and we thought John Kerensky was going to save America. Like TikTok, the way it's set up is very conducive to collaboration. Duets can use people's audio. things like this can really blow up and people can be very creative with it, and they have time to be creative with it because everybody's stuck inside. Set makers, costume designers, musicians, actors, everybody was like adding on to this really fun thing that had gotten started. So, first reason this thing took off. First of all, the idea is very simple. It's compact. Pixar's really good at that, boiling down an idea to something very pithy that has legs. Like, is it possible to find one fish in the entire ocean? What if there were monsters in your closet? What if a rat wanted to be a chef? It's a fun, really cool way to conceptualize a story. Just start with very simple ideas. And in this case, this idea was boiled down to 3 words. Ratatouille the Musical. Easy, everybody can get on board. It's a springboard, really sparks people's imagination. And it's just this interesting thing that Ratatouille has become this cultural phenomenon. Like, people know it. It's now a well-known enough film to be referenced in things like Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think because conceptually it's so unique. The major mechanism in it, plot-wise, it's a very particular mechanic. Like, the suspension of disbelief that it takes to believe a rat pulling somebody's hair can move their limbs is memorable and different, and nobody else is gonna try that, but it's very fun and very particular to that movie. And then that becomes a very fun joke for people to riff off of, like Ratatouille. So, how did this thing get started? Well, the first post of Ratatouille the Musical was honestly just kind of a shit post, just kind of a joke. Emily Jacobson, she posted a video of just a silly song to still images of Ratatouille. And then it took off. Also, I assumed that it was the first TikTok musical, but apparently not. The composer apparently was the first one to start the Fighting in the Grocery Store musical, which, if you want any more grocery store content, please check out Swifty Mart. It's my short film. It's on my page. It's really, really fun. Yeah, so very quickly this idea snowballed. One person would do more supporting vocals. One person did choreography, and I'll be the stage manager in the back. It was this fun inside joke that was like a bunch of different parts of everybody together. Once it started gaining traction, there was almost 250 million people who interacted with it, made jokes, liked it, commented. However, not nearly as many people who originally engaged with the idea of the Ratatouille musical ended up turning out to watch it. It was like 350,000 viewers, which is a lot for a digital musical, but it's nothing compared to the 250 million that interact with it originally. Why is that? Well, a couple reasons. Well, first of all, it wasn't on TikTok. Like, the activation energy to get from somebody from scrolling to go and do anything else is really hard, because anything that takes more than like 2 clicks or leads people off platform is not going to do well beyond just people's like personal inclination for inaction. That's kind of how you get things like slacktivism too, where people think that like reposting a profile picture is equivalent to actual policy change. But that's way easier to do as opposed to actually getting up and going to a march. And sometimes social media platforms even have safeguards against leading people out of the app. Algorithmically speaking, anything that leads off platform is not going to be prioritized. That's why so many social media browsers have literal shopping centers within the app so that they can just click in and buy. You know, anything that takes more than 2 clicks is nearly impossible. Especially the fact that it was charging money. TikTok's a free platform. People are not super interested in that. And if people are too lazy to type in an address in lieu of a hyperlink, there's not going to be a ton of people who are going to go watch a musical. So that's going to drastically affect how many people are willing to watch this, even if they were excited about it originally. But that being said, they were able to raise $2 million for the Actors Fund in order to support people who were affected by the pandemic. Honestly, for what it was pretty successful. But it could have been a lot better. Oh my gosh. But beyond the practical barriers, it was just a mess. Just like the shark in Jaws is not nearly as scary once you see it, the Ratatouille the musical that's in everybody's heads was way better than the execution of the actual Ratatouille the musical. It was still fun though. And there were definitely parts that made me cry, but that's kind of easy to do. I mean, I cry at everything. Opening number got me. I'm crying already. That was really sweet. It's been a long week. I used to cry when the cheerleaders came out at our pep rallies. They were so good. I was so proud of them. Oh, it was overwhelming. Also, I think people coming together to overcome their circumstances and make something beautiful, that hits me every single time. It gets me. I think I might be sensitive right now, but like literally this guy singing that anyone can cook is like
hitting me hard. I love it so much when people come together to make something beautiful.
That one hits me deep, and I cry every single time. I just got a lot of feelings. If I ever make merch, I think I'm gonna make something with like the heart literally on the sleeve. It's so endearing to watch everyone try really hard. Ultimately, I think that it's just that nobody had a cohesive vision for this that knew how to code switch between both realms, Broadway and the internet. It's a little bit like watching a plane trying to be assembled in the air, and somebody's like, we've got the peanuts, but nobody was like, cool, do we have any landing gear? How are we gonna land this thing? There's just some important stuff that was kind of missed, but the peanuts were delicious. Such good peanuts. Peanuts. Gross. Don't be weird. So yeah, it's just so interesting to watch these two entities clash so hard. I think that the Broadway camp just did not understand the mechanisms and the etiquette behind making things online. So you've got talented celebrities, but their performances are lacking because when celebrities try to do anything with internet culture, more often than not, it comes off very inauthentically. Hank Green recently made an observation about if you are not native to a platform, being able to mimic the etiquette of that platform is nearly impossible. Like the idea of TikToks being filmed from this angle, or even like the offset eye line that like was established in Vine with internet sketches. It's a very particular thing that you have to consume enough in order to be able to do on your own, as opposed to telling somebody else about it, right? But on the other end, like things like Titus does a pickup, you know, like on set when you're shooting something fast, usually on TV. If you flub a line, then you'll just do it again, but maintain the same energy, the same intensity, because the understanding with the actor is that like it'll be fixed in post. They just leave his pickup in there. He starts a line and then restarts it.
All right, team three will be handling the fish.
And they just didn't edit that out because the everyday person on the internet, or the person who's going to be editing this, does not understand that is the expectation. I would be so curious to know what the rehearsal process of this was, because the acting is really clunky. I think they each separately recorded their parts.
Like every single actor is playing with blinders on, so obviously Titus Burgess takes a moment to like really like feel like how beautiful Paris is and is selling that, and then to immediately cut to just the silliest, echoey as incomprehensible joke from Gaston. It is so good.
All this time I've been underneath Paris? It's beautiful.
Simple is beautiful.
Like, there's moments that you see, like, Titus Burgess go really real with it, and every other person on screen is like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So as an actor, that's hard to play off of a different person, you know? And so it's just this mess of, like, people are not communicating within each other, and it needed a person to sort of step back and cohesively look like, okay, this part is good, but like it right now they're at this level, so how do we bring them together? Beyond just like simple things like where do we have our actors put their eyeline? And you can just tell who the native internet users are. Like Luigi, Gusteau, clearly came from the realm of TikTok because they know how to interact with the camera. Luigi looks down the barrel of the lens, and it has some of the funnest performances of the entire thing. The other thing that theater performers struggle with is not having any audience feedback. That's part of the reason it makes it hard for them to transition to film. And then there was just the whiplash you would get between mismatching energies, because you have Titus Burgess, who films the entire thing like a self-tape audition, versus all these chorus members from TikTok who know how to perform in the vertical format, next to like Wayne Brady, who goes really hard, and then people who know how to like own a scene and perform really well, and then people who are just upstaging the crap out of everybody, because like I said, this was made by a bunch of theater kids, so their heart is in the right place, and their creativity is so good, but like somebody has to rein it in, and it doesn't feel like it was. But it makes sense because it's literally a crowdsourced musical.
What does not work well with crowdsourcing is cohesion. Dare I say it? It was too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many rats in the kitchen. Anyone can cook. Too many cooks. Too many rat cooks in the kitchen. Like, everybody's gonna have a different idea of how to approach it, and it's not necessarily going to be the best one or the one that resonates with what everyone else is doing.
Oh my gosh, Wayne Brady's the first character to show up with mouse makeup, and I just fully did not recognize him.
Respectfully, this is coming off like this is this guy's big moment. Just the way that he chews the scenery.
And so as I was watching him, I was like, man, this guy is kind of chewing the scenery. Like, he's kind of making a big deal.
It's a little bit much.
Like, okay, this is this guy's big break. We get it. It turns out it was Wayne Brady.
Oh my fucking god, is that Wayne Brady? Have I just been shit-talking Wayne Brady? Oh my god. Oh no, I'm so sorry. To the Wayne Brady stans.
I should have definitely done my research beforehand because I did not recognize people who were in this. Might have been a couple that I missed, honestly.
So keep your nose up and tread lightly.
Okay, Broadway belt. Sorry, I said that it looked like you were trying to take advantage of this Wayne Brady.
I'm such like a pre-Hamilton musical theater person. Like I haven't paid attention to anything post-Hamilton. Obviously Hamilton, cultural phenomenon, but
like I haven't seen Hadestown yet. I need to get on that. The music was excellent. The music was so good. I want to shake the hand of the music director. The closing number literally is like 10 different songs that was posted by different users on TikTok and like all knit together. And it was gorgeous. It was really, really sweet and so fun.
So crowdsourcing has positive and negatives. For lyrics, it's great because what's going to rise to the top social media wise is only the best of the best. Okay, these lyrics, bang, bang. Looking for a sign, got a 20-foot marquee, A+. I'm sorry, I won't let a narrow-minded you determine what Vermin can do. A+. These are, oh my god. Wish could never. So lyrically, really, really strong. Same with the music.
There's this thing in theater, it's probably elsewhere too, but definitely in theater, where the idea is you want to start strong, end stronger, and they nailed it. The opening number, excellent. The closing number, excellent. The stuff in the middle, I used to teach theater to children, and this reminded me of that at some moments.
It's just not quite cohesive, but there's some really, really good sparkly stuff.
Oh, it was rocky. The script could have used a lot of work.
I think they bit off a little bit more than they could chew. And so, I mean, they did it. I think they could have nailed it if they were able to lower the bar for themselves a little bit. Do a really good job at something simple as opposed to doing a mediocre job at something complex.
I wish it was just, let's skip like a rock song to song to song. Again, the music is great. The dialogue scenes are easily the weakest part. Titus is playing himself, which he does in everything that he's in. And people like that. That's why they tune in. But I think that his performance would have been able to be stronger if his character was not also a lot of like the mechanical labor of moving the story forward did not also narratively have to be the connecting piece. If we had like a storyteller character baked in,
they should have let Gusto be a narrator and turn it into a musical review. I know they're trying to make the best use of their celebrity talent, but somebody like Titus Burgess, like his personality benefits a lot from editing.
Because they have Remy narrate, which is the same as the movie. If instead you hand off the baton of moving the plot along to a different character, then you can just let Titus like belt out and do what Titus is going to do best, you know? He's there to play himself, but that energy is better in smaller doses. Not a lot. I just needed a Gusto being like, and then Remy went to Paris, you know? And then, yeah, you connect it sort of like a musical review where that narrator character is just doing like 2-line narratives to move us to the next song, essentially. Ho ho ho, but there was trouble on the horizon, for there was a food critic. Go into the food critic, you know, like that kind of a thing. And like, oh my gosh, even like audio levels were not the most polished.
No, the audio, oh no.
If you are what you eat, I only want the good stuff. Remy, food is your fuel. Taste has nothing to do with it. If we're gonna be thieves, why don't we steal the gourmet offerings?
This is why audio engineers are secretly the rulers of the world. You don't realize how much bad audio influences how you feel about stuff.
That's one of the things that makes something seem high quality is whether or not the audio is good. It's very subtle and people don't realize it. Yeah, and the editing could have just been so much stronger, because there was moments where like the performances were cheapened because of the editing, and down to things like they needed to trim out their millennial pauses, which nobody told them to do.
Love a Gen X pause.
So the energy is just not maintained over the course of the entire show. Yeah, the music was really, really good. Each of the performers really sold it.
Yes, give these actors a chance to do what they are good at, which is just sell a song. It genuinely, like, it shivers down my spine.
It was sort of when they had to interact with one another that, like, it just was jarring. And I think if it was either we're all doing this like self-tape auditions or we're all doing this like TikToks, it would have been better. That's one of the things that I think it could have improved, was if it embraced the restraints of the medium. So there were some moments of this, like they at one moment they have Linguini, who's supposed to be talking in the dark. They just have a black screen. They put the camera on the ground for Linguini to talk to the rat. Like, those are fun mechanisms. Yeah, and you did get clips of like the different viral TikToks. It's just, it's so funny to watch this like identity crisis of a piece where they're like, are we making in-jokes for the Broadway crowd, or are we making in-jokes for the TikTok crowd? The crossover of that just leads to it being a mess.
The utter vibe shift in service to a second reference to a chorus line is so funny.
I'll cut off their tails today, and you won't forget what I did to them, and I'll do to you.
Then to see that juxtaposed with like viral TikTok moves, you know, like one of like these, you know, like Ratatouille. But that being said, I have not stopped humming the songs.
Is there like a scientist or like a musical theory person who can tell me like why? I don't know if it's like the seventh or what, but that like shift like musically in the notes, it gives me chills every single time. The da 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 da. Oh, it's so Broadway. It's so I can do this. It's so I want. It's so tasty.
Maybe it was the trauma of remembering what 2020 was like and being in that setup of like watching Zoom performances again. But it hit so hard. They had like leitmotifs for Remy. They had the same musical progression like throughout all of the songs for Remy.
One of the things that me and my friends talk about is like where you feel certain emotions, and I don't know, that chord for some reason, like I feel it like on the back of my shoulders and like down my arms, and just like the tastiest way.
Another thing that was very fun about this phenomenon was the fact that Disney even allowed it to happen. Apparently Patton Oswalt, who originally voiced Remy, caught wind of it, and there's a couple of different things. They chatted with the Disney execs and they're like, sure, go for it. With the understanding that it was intended to help actors get through the pandemic. It was not supposed to be a long time thing. So I don't think that they're going to make another one anytime soon. But that being said, the ideas for it were so good.
So overall, not super successful, not going to go down in the history books like everyone was hoping, but it's still a really fun watch, a fun romp if you want to cry, if you're me, because life's been weird lately. I don't care if Disney is giving me brain worms, and sometimes you need to feel your feelings. I'm good.
So Ratatouille the musical was something that was better in everybody's heads, but lucky for them, I put on a good show. That is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. DFTLASALIC. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day. Little kisses. Goodbye. We're rats. We're rats. Ratatouille. We're rats. Thanks.